Welcome to Pierce County, friendliest place on earth, asshole.
Hello, everybody. I'm John.
And I'm Justin.
And welcome to Gore Goblins, the show where we talk about horror movies we like.
Some we don't.
And some that we've never seen or heard of before, whatever I usually say.
Yeah. I didn't see this movie until today.
Yeah, me either for one of them. And what are we doing today, Justin?
The Crazies, or what was it, Project Trixie?
Codename Trixie.
Codename Trixie.
We're doing the original and the remake, so it's a double stuffed episode.
You know how annoying it was to kind of watch two movies back to back?
Yeah, especially when they have similar themes and stuff.
Yeah, when the dialogue was so bad.
Yeah, not even like you know.
I give the original a pass because it was low budget, but remake, come on.
It's like the dialogue in the mix specifically was bad. Yeah. Like it was like everything else was significantly louder than the dialogue. So it was one of those movies where I'm like, what did he say? And then you don't know what he said because it's a movie. And the original definitely was low budget, which we'll get into in a moment. But we have two movies. We have a cult classic with George A. Romero's The Crazies from 1973. And then we have that film's remake, directed by Breck Eisner, that came out in 2010. So both of these movies share similar themes, like I mentioned kind of before. They're both firmly anti-military, based on what the director said, but it's kind of hard to get that vibe from it, if I'm being honest.
It's hard to get that vibe from the remake. The remake solely kind of takes that part out of the movie, I feel.
I think the remake's more subtle about it, because in the original, you have like all those military fat cats that are just like, oh, why don't we just fucking nuke them?
But you see the military doing their thing in that one. In this one, they just pop up a few times and you get the one bit of dialogue from the soldier that they took hostage for a little bit, and then that's it. Yeah,
that's because Breck Eisner wanted to tell it more from the story of the
people,
of the townsfolk, which is admirable, but some of it gets lost in translation.
A lot of it got lost in translation.
But
like I said, if I didn't watch the original first before the remake, I would have been like, what the fuck is going on?
And then I said, but that's what I like. I like it when I don't know what the fuck's going on. Sometimes. It depends on the movie. But, we watched these back to back. I paid attention for about half of the original. I'm going to be honest. I was, because I got another horror movie on my mind that I can't stop fucking thinking about.
It'll be covered one day.
Maybe. I don't know, man. That's gonna be a rough one to cover.
We got plenty of rough ones to cover anyway, so it's fine.
That's true. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so the original came out in 1973. Original name was Codename Trixie, which is actually the name, or not the original name, but an alternate name was Codename Trixie, which is actually what the main titles were in the film that we saw, which was through Arrow's streaming service, which, by the way, if you didn't know about Arrow's streaming service, it's like $6 a month, and they have pretty much fucking everything that they have on their Blu-ray catalog, just there on the streaming service. And some of them even have special features, like The Crazies had special features, everything except the audio commentary, which made it a little hard to research for this one. But it was directed and written by George A. Romero.
Hey, Arrow, sponsor us.
Well, that'd be cool, but I don't know if they do that. That would be nice though. Shudder, Arrow, I don't know, man. Somebody, please, just give me something. Yeah. But it's directed and written by George A. Romero, and it was based on a screenplay from Paul McCullough. I'm gonna say that's his name.
McCullough.
It was called The Mad People. It was like one of those. It was a screenplay that was floating around for a while, and it just didn't get made until it fell into a certain producer's hands. And that producer was Lee Hessel. And he went to Romero specifically and said, hey, look, I got this script, and I'm going to let you direct it, but only if you rewrite it, because this script I don't like the script that much.
Like,
so then Romero reworked it, and the movie is what it is now. So the original script was supposed to be, it's pretty close to what the movie actually is. but this is what I wrote down. It's the original script dealt with a military bioweapon that was accidentally released upon a small town. The military then tried to cover up the incidents while the citizens of the town revolted. The military subplot was only in the first act of the original screenplay, with the rest of the film focused on the survivors and how they cope with the situation. And in the actual movie, George A. Romero kind of had the military kind of be a more prominent force, I guess, in the what eventually came to be the Crazies. You know, that's cool, I guess. You get different perspectives and stuff like that. It really leans into that social commentary shit about the military, and this was during Vietnam and all of that stuff, and all that fun stuff. So, you know, the idea of the military doing to us what they did in Vietnam was, I guess, pretty horrifying. Horrifying enough for George A. Romero to make a movie out of it. And that's what he did. So, you know, George A. Romero made the movie, and it was a box office failure, making only $143,000 out of a $275,000 budget. Lee Hessel was disappointed with this, and he was like, hey, I'm going to change the fucking title of this, and maybe that'll get it traction, and that's where Codename Trixie came from. And there was probably another title that I don't remember, but it only played in a limited number of theaters too. Never got a wide release, and that's why Romero thinks it didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's why it didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah. But critical consensus, contemporary wasn't that great, and if we go to our bastion of correct opinions that is Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 65%. And the consensus says the Crazies isn't top shelf Romero, but its blend of genre thrills and social subtext should still be enough to satisfy discerning horror fans. Would you agree with that, Justin?
No.
Yeah. So
I found this movie more funny than anything.
Yeah, and that's why I think it became a cult classic, because
the 70s charm is alive and well in this movie.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot of gore in this for a movie that came out in the 70s, though, especially the early 70s.
There's a couple graphic scenes, but most everything just looked like a paintball exploding.
Yeah, there's a part where like it's just like a dummy head with a gas mask on it. It just gets fucking obliterated. And there's a part where, like, one of the soldiers gets his arm chopped off, and then he gets his arm stabbed with a pitchfork, another one. Because in the original, it's not so much the townsfolk revolting so much as it is the virus is just spreading and they're going crazy. At least that's what I got from it. Because, you know, in the remake, it's pretty obvious who's infected because there's visual cues. But in the original, there isn't. They're just acting loony, and in the original they also kind of changed the rules of it, or the remake changes the rules of it, because in the original the virus either kills you or it just makes you crazy, and that's and a bunch of people just went crazy. Like during that scene where the dude loses his arm and then the other one gets stabbed with a pitchfork, there's just some woman sweeping the grass because she's crazy. That's what crazy meant in 1973. Isn't that crazy? How that's what insanity was back then.
Sweeping grass.
There's an old woman who's knitting, and then she gets mad when a soldier tries to get her to leave, so she just stabs him with the needle, with the little knitting needle, and then just goes back to knitting. Honestly, God bless her.
Technically, she was crocheting.
You know what? I don't care. God bless her either way. It's her right to knit in peace.
Stab people when she wants to.
They shouldn't have treaded on her, right?
We all deserve that right.
Anyway, so I wrote some more stuff down for this. Lynn Lowry was in this movie. She plays a zoned out fucking teenager for the movie. She plays like some girl who's got a rapey dad.
She's only rapey after the crazy.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that made me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
let's talk about that for a second. So, I had already kind of known about this scene because it was mentioned in the commentary for the remake, because Breck Eisner talked about how he thought about including it, and then he realized that it probably wouldn't have gone over very well in a big budget studio movie as opposed to a $275,000 independent movie. So basically, they're both infected, but the girl just acts like a stoner the whole time. Which, judging by the interviews I've seen with Lynn Lowry, she was probably really high during the filming of this.
It was the 70s, of course she was.
And you know, so and it's funny because the interview she just like nonchalantly describes like how I had already lost my virginity, and I was always on drugs, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
No fucks given.
that's an open book. That's what I aspire to be, right? An open book like that. But no, so she's she was in the movie, and her dad gets infected, and he's like, there's a scene where he's like talking about how like, oh, I don't want any of those disgusting pigs to get at my daughter, and fucking they're all gross, and
She's all I've got, blah, blah, blah.
she's all I've got. And he starts like eating her hair. And that was a little weird. And then it's like just a scene of them on the bed, just making out. And then like he tries to do something. And then our good boy Clank comes in, and
Agent Clank.
yeah, Agent Clank peels the dad off of her and throws him in the closet, and then he hangs himself. That's what happened, right? Or did Clank hang him?
No,
What happened?
I think he just hangs himself.
He just hangs himself, right? Yeah, he hangs himself because, I don't know, maybe he realized what he was doing.
Well, yeah.
And then, like, there's a part where she's got blood between her legs, and doesn't she gets it on her finger, and I want to say that she like puts it in her mouth, but I don't remember.
I don't think she put it in her
I don't
mouth.
think she did. I might be thinking of something else,
I
unfortunately.
kind of tuned out with that scene.
Yeah, me too. Reminded me of a scene from Come and See, which, if you don't know what Come and See is, it's a very not graphic. I don't want to say graphic, but it's definitely a very disturbing war movie. It's about Russia in World War II, and it's about a kid losing his innocence as the movie goes on. And the kid ages like 40 years. They use like live ammunition in the fucking movie. So there are scenes where like there's a kid on set and they're just shooting live rounds above his head. Like whatever, guerrilla filmmaking, much like the Crazies, except this was in Russia. Little less of a shit was given. But there's a part where I want to say the Germans. I don't remember exactly because I have a hard time remembering that movie because it was a rough watch. But I want to say the Germans come into this Russian town, and they pack a bunch of the townsfolk into a barn and set it on fire. And so you get to just hear them screaming as the barn just immolates them. And then there's a shot of a woman who's walking away from several laughing German soldiers with blood running down her thighs because she was brutally raped by them. So, that's super fun. That's a rough movie. And the blood in between Lynn Lowry's legs reminded me of that. I did not want to remember that movie right now, but that's where we're at right now. I apologize for whatever I just said. But Lynn Lowry, in a Q&A, stated that she feels personally that the remake of the Crazies isn't going to be remembered for as long as the original because, and it's got nothing to do with the content of the movie so much as it has to do with how they were made, because she has a cameo in the remake as a woman on a bike that's just, again, tripping balls. And in the original, it was made as like an independent movie, really tight knit, really like close, like guerrilla style filmmaking. Not really there wasn't a studio there telling them what to do. But then the remake is just another fucking big budget horror movie in the 2010s.
Yeah.
And honestly, it kind of feels like it. I still enjoy the remake, but like it's a 2010 horror movie, so there's a shitload of jump scares that are fake outs, and that you know how much I hate those. Don't like those. And there's a lot of them in this fucking movie, in the remake, I mean. And she just said that it felt less special being on that set than being on the set of the original.
I agree with her statement.
She felt like she was like, I guess, for lack of a better term, making history with the original, making something unique, you know. And did you know? I want to talk about this too.
Did I know?
Both films start with a burning house. Okay, kind of. The first one literally starts with a burning house. And like there's these two kids just being fucking brats. I hate them. And then they find their mom who's dead, and their dad's just like losing his goddamn mind in the kitchen, just like waving like a what was it, like a fire poker or something?
Something. He was just destroying everything.
He's
in the
destroying like a cabinet, and then he sets the house on fire with the kids in it, and the kids get burned. I think the daughter dies, and then the son goes crazy. Whatever. But that burning house looked like stock footage because guess what? It kind of was, because they were just they were gonna figure out how to frame the shot, and they just found a group of firefighters that were just like doing like a test run on an old abandoned house.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, "Hey, can we film this?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." Matter of fact, everybody in Evans City, which is where a majority of the movie was filmed, was, according to George A. Romero, very happy to be a part of it. The only scene that they weren't happy about was the very last shot of the film, which is where the colonel takes all of his clothes off to put on new clothes so that way he can get on a helicopter and go to another town that's going to be quarantined, because they didn't like seeing a man's buttocks. They didn't understand why he had to be naked, I guess. And according to Romero, a lawyer had to be brought in order to de-escalate the situation.
Just look away, Jesus Christ.
What's a lawyer gonna do though? Is he just gonna be like, "Oh, well, you're legally entitled to financial compensation because you saw a man's butt, dude"? I guess I don't know.
It's like that episode of South Park where Cartman walks across the stage naked.
Yeah, it's like
No
just
one
like
gave a
that.
fuck that Butters was hurt. It was just about seeing Cartman naked.
Yeah, it's weird. That's a weird American thing, because in other parts of the world,
We'll make tons of porn, but we can't see any accidental nudity. That's a crime against nature.
that's because we're a Christian nation, unfortunately. But other parts of the world, they'll show nudity. I remember my mom was watching this cop procedural called like Midsummer Murders or some shit. I don't know, and they were like saying fuck. And this was like just a normal show in the UK. It wasn't even like a fucking premium cable type thing. It was just a normal thing. And they were saying fuck. But in America, that's a no word. You can't. It's amazing how many TV shows how many TV show scenes have been ruined by the fact that like you can't speak in a realistic way. Case in point. There's a scene from The Walking Dead season 2. Not a good season of television, if I'm being honest. But at the end of it, it kind of picked up. Because there's this one part where it's that part at the end of the season where Rick's like, we're not a democracy anymore, right? And there was this old YouTube video I saw critiquing it that said that scene would have been better if you had allowed Rick to say fuck, because then he would have been like, this isn't a fucking democracy anymore. And that really would have hammered home how serious he is about everything.
I don't think that was season 2.
It was right before the prison. Season 3 was the prison, I think. I don't care about Walking Dead. If I'm wrong, I don't care. But like, I think it was season 2.
On the farm?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, it was season 2.
Yeah, and he's
I don't
like,
remember. I haven't seen season 2.
and he's like, this isn't a fucking democracy anymore, is what he should have said, because I really would have hammered it home. And the point he was making was that, they'll show all this gore and all this terrible, like, fucking stuff happening to these people, but you can't say a no word.
Glenn?
Which I think is dumb. I think that's fucking dumb. In recent years, AMC and AMC and FX have eased up on that, and
I've watched that scene so many times.
I get it, Justin. You have issues. That's why I can't wait to talk about funny games. Anyway, so, but yeah, so it's funny how in America we're weird about stuff like that. But yeah, naked a man's butt is bad, I guess. At least it wasn't the 70s. Now it's more like it'll be on TV and shit. But like in the 70s, it was quite objectionable. So that's always fun. That was the only thing they didn't like. Also,
Also,
did you know
did I know?
that Lynn Lowry originally wanted her death scene to be much more extravagant? Because she dies. Spoiler, I guess. You know how it is. Spoilers.
She dies, and her final words is, "Oh."
Yeah, that she just collapses. Which it's funny because I was watching special features for. No, I was watching some fucking documentary about
Shockumentary.
horror movies, and they were talking about how terrifying that scene is, and because her last words are "oh," and I'm like, I guess, man, if I was a kid in the 80s and I saw that shit, maybe it would have done something to me, but now I don't know, dude. It doesn't really hit. It just kind of feels weak. But Lynn Lowry was like, I wanted to have this big scene where I get shot a bunch of times and I'm really selling it. And she said George Romero just came up to me and just said, just do this. And she's like, and I did it obviously because I had to, but I didn't really like it. But then she also said that in recent years, when she's rewatched the movie, it kind of makes more sense to her. So she kind of understands it and she appreciates it. So couldn't be me personally.
Yeah, they did her like that, but then they gave Clank the extravagant bullet frenzy in the remake.
Clank fucking went out in a very hardcore way in both of them. Honestly,
well, I like his death in the original better.
In the original, it's a lot. In the original, he goes out
it's just sudden, and you're like, oh shit.
I'm pretty sure he gets infected in both of them, but in the original. Basically, he infected. Yeah, basically in the original, he has a final shootout in the woods with all these fucking soldiers. He kills most of them, and then there's this one fucking shithead soldier that's like, "Oh, you're out of ammo, buddy. Just stay right there." And I'm just like, "What are you doing, bro? What are you?" You're being such an asshole. What? Just fucking kill him. And he's so that he puts the gun down. He was shooting with a rifle. He throws that away. He pulls out a pistol and just pops him a few times. And then he takes a rest. And then just out of nowhere, you just see the other side. You just see one side of his head just fucking pop off in a really good squib effect for 1973. Man, that shit was cool. That was a really good effect.
Yeah. He
just gets his fucking head hollowed out.
Well, and his whole death was good. Just the little twitching he did. And
he sold it really well. And then in the remake, he dies by again getting infected. But David Dutton is able to talk him down and get him to see the error of his fucking ways, I guess. I don't think that's how viruses work. But he gets him to see the error of his ways. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go out like a hero, right? So he basically serves as a distraction. So that way David and Judy can get away. And he goes out oh, never mind. I can't spoil that because I have friends that haven't seen it yet. But he basically distracts himself. And
seen what?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because then I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because I got friends that'll get mad at me if I potentially get upset with me if I would spoil it. I'm just not gonna say it. But he serves as a distraction, and he steps out, and he goes out like a champ. He gets popped several times, and then he even gets to say "fuck you" to the military right before they pop him in the head. And that's off screen, of course, because we got to follow David and Judy because they're the main draw. But I like both deaths, but I definitely think the original one would have had more of an impact on me. If I'm watching it when it came out, that original one would have been a lot more whoa, what the fuck? That would have definitely hit a little harder.
It's like it's like final stands in war movies when they're gonna die, but you want to see them go out swinging.
Yeah,
which he did in the original.
Yeah,
in the remake, he just shoot me.
Yeah, I'm a distraction. Woo, yeah. But anyway,
my favorite last stand in a movie is Fury.
I still need to watch Fury.
You've never watched Fury?
Is that the one with Shia LaBeouf and
Brad
Pitt, right? Yeah.
And the guy who plays Punisher, I always forget his name.
Thomas Jane?
No.
John Bernthal?
Yeah.
Okay. My brain always goes to Thomas Jane.
And then that funny Mexican dude from Ant-Man. I don't remember his name.
Have you ever seen that Punisher fan-made short Dirty Laundry with Thomas Jane?
No.
It's very good. You should watch it. I'm getting a little. That was a certified sidetrack segment for the record.
Barely.
But yeah, barely. I don't really have a certified sidetrack segment this time. I don't think. Sorry, it took a couple weeks this time.
Slipknot's new album came out.
Yeah. Do we want to have a certified sidetrack segment about that?
It is good.
Fuck it. We'll have a certified sidetrack segment about that. Slipknot's new album, The End So Far, came out. Little mini review of that, I guess. Yeah, it was all right, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really like felt strongly about a Slipknot album since Volume 3, but it's fine. I mean, I know which songs I like, and I know which songs I don't like.
Yeah.
It's definitely experimental, so
being a big fan,
can't fault them for that.
You can fault things they do wrong. Like I agreed with one review. Corey does some very bad over singing in this album.
Well, he's flexing his he's
good at he's a good singer.
He's feeling around.
But some of it's overdone a little bit.
I remember an old interview with Serge Tankian. Maybe not old, but he was talking about a recent EP that he put out. It wasn't that great, if we're being honest. But he was talking about how, like, because I think the interviewer asked him about the change in his vocal style. And, you know, how on those first System of a Down records, especially the self-titled one, he's very erratic and eclectic and fucking crazy. And then by the time you get to Mesmerize and Hypnotize, it's more melodic and more of that. And Serge was like, well, once I figured out I could sing, he's like, that's what I wanted. That's all I wanted to do. He's like, you look at Maynard from Tool, you look at Corey from Slipknot. He's like, once they figured out that they could sing instead of just yell, that's what they started doing. He's like, and you know, that's just the artist's progression. So I can't really fault them for that. I'm not going to be like a fucking old metalhead and be like, if it doesn't sound the exact same, I don't want it. And like, because I get it, artists change, but I don't have to like what they change into.
Yeah.
Metallica. Anyway, so when we get to
everyone's like, this is Slipknot Saint Anger.
No, it's not their fucking Saint Anger.
Someone said Saint Anger or Lulu.
No, it's definitely not that. It's not. No.
The best takeaway quote I've heard from a review was, "Don't listen to this like it's an Iowa era album because it's never going to be the same."
Yeah, they haven't.
The sooner you realize you're dealing with an evolving entity, the sooner you'll enjoy what they put out better.
And that goes for any artist, any band, artist, fucking director,
Josh,
anything like that. Yeah, we hate Josh here. We love him actually, but
no, because I know if he listens to it, he's fucking garbage. All this soft bullshit.
Yeah, Josh is in his hard phase
while liking Angels and Airwaves at the same time.
Oh no. Anyway, so yeah, no, but Slipknot hasn't been like Iowa since fucking Volume 3, and that was almost 20 years ago. So you know they haven't. And when Subliminal came out, I was obviously too young to give a shit about contemporary reviews, but like looking back at those reviews, people didn't like them. People didn't like it. They were like, oh, they're experimenting too much. They didn't like Vermilion, which is one of their best fucking songs in my opinion. They didn't like Vermilion Part 2. They only really liked Before I Forget, Pulse of the Maggots, and Duality, and I Guess the Blister Exists. And Duality has kind of been, to me, the template that they figured out that they use for every single that they've put out since Duality. Like Psychosocial uses the same formula. Unsainted uses the same formula. Fucking Devil and I, kinda. What was the other song? Negative One, I think, kind of fits that bill more for 0.5. And then in End So Far, you have Chapeltown Rag and The Dying Song that are both, they kind of evoke memories of that for me. But, you know, I mean, every band is going to change their sound. Otherwise, it's boring to listen to the same thing over and over again.
The first time I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is really messy. Like, I don't know how to feel.
It's definitely messy. No, that's it definitely is.
But then I got home and, like, because I was listening to my car first when I got off of work.
Yeah.
And I went home and put it on my sound bar and I was like, okay, now I hear every little thing better. It's all right, but it's still a mess in some parts, which is due to their way they recorded it, because they were never like all in the studio at once.
Yeah, I told you what Jim Root said about it too, right, in his interview.
It was rushed,
and how he said it was rushed, like they didn't do pre-production or whatever. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad album.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a bad album.
Like I think an album can be messy and still be good. Like I don't. There are plenty of messy albums that I like Hot Take, Saint Anger. So you know, there's just plenty of things that other people will criticize it, I still enjoy
Black Album, best album.
Listen, buddy. Everybody knows that that's not the right answer. Okay.
No, it's
anyway,
Master of Puppets.
that's fair. I like Injustice for All, but that's more personal taste than anything. But yeah, Slipknot's new album's fine. I like about half of it. It's the same thing that's bugged me ever since All Hope Is Gone, where like there are parts of songs that I really like, and I wish they'd just make that the whole thing. But then there's other parts of songs that I don't really like, and I wish they hadn't been in the album.
Or some songs are just longer than they should be.
Yeah, that's another problem that they have. And then you have Medicine for the Dead with the same fucking riff that's in Lateralis by Tool, which threw me off the first time. It's the same. It's like a slightly different key, and I think it's a slightly different chord progression, but it's the same Doom 3 sounding ass riff. And then even like the instrumental in that song just reminded me of Tool anyway, but which is weird because that's something I never thought I'd say. A Slipknot song reminding me of Tool, but here we are. But even some of the more melodic stuff on that album I enjoyed more than the aggressive stuff, because I was telling Justin that I think it sounds like on this album they're starting to remind me of Opeth around the same time when Watershed came out, and they were like kind of breaking away from that aggressive sound and leaning towards more of a melodic sound. And I think that's what they want to do. Because to me, it kind of feels like all the angry tracks on the album felt kind of forced. It felt like their heart wasn't really in it. Because like even on We Are Not Your Kind, you can feel that emotion from something like Soul Way Firth or even Unsainted. But like with this, I don't know, it just felt like they were just doing it out of obligation, in my opinion. And I think that if they focus on a more melodic sound, I think there's some cool shit that they can do, because their melodic songs have always been cool. Tattered and Torn, fucking Scissors, Vermilion, New Abortion, and fucking, there's another one off of Iowa that's really good. I can't remember the name right. Skin Ticket. Those songs have always been, like, really fucking good. Prosthetics has always been one of my favorites because it has this weird, ominous, melodic feel to it. And if they want to do that, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that'd be cool. Dead Memories is another good example. Yeah, I love Dead Memories.
The song makes sense, Josh.
It's we love you, Josh. Anyway, but so there's so you know, I think the album's fine. I just wish they had kind of picked to one sound and stuck to it. I get that they're experimenting, and you know, it paid off when it came to Volume 3 for me personally, because that's my favorite album from them. But I feel like they're still trying to find their way on what they want to do next. And
they're just gonna do whatever they want.
I know, and I'm excited to see what they do, whatever they want, whatever they do next, because I like Slipknot. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna buy the album on a physical copy or anything, but you know, maybe it'll grow on me. Fear Inoculum grew on me. I didn't really like that album when I first heard it, to go back to Tool, but it kind of grew on me. So you know, maybe that's what it'll take.
Whoa.
But that was our certified sidetrack segment.
Yay!
Where we talked about shit we care about, and you know, it's our podcast. We could do that. So anyway,
maybe we'll start another one called "What I Hate Today," and you can just hear me be mad about something.
See, get some sleep, bro. All right, just fucking work on your sleep schedule. Anyway, so
back to the Crazies.
Back to the Crazies, the original. Before we move on to the remake, because I don't want to do plot summaries, because we're going to be here for fucking 5 hours if we do that.
Yeah.
But what I do want to ask you, Justin, is what did you like about the original, and what did you not like about the original? Like what stood out to you, and what like really didn't work for you? Basically, just give me your thoughts and feelings on anything particular you want to talk about.
Well, for the original, I like that it just automatically gets going. There's no short delay in it, and just you're right into the fucking action. Whoops. And with that, the whole house getting set on fire with the kids and all that, and then boom, you see the military, blah blah blah.
Did you like the like the stuff from the military's point of view at all?
Yeah.
Like, do you think
I
that
felt
made
like
the
it
film
made
better?
it make more sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I enjoy mystery in movies, but like I said, if I watched the remake before the original, I'd be like, is this a zombie movie, or like, what is going on?
See, because I watched the remake before the original, because I watched it with the commentary. So, like, I could kind of see what he was going for with the remake. But I don't think he never said it was a bad thing that you see things from the military's point of view in the original, but you know, I think it works for what that movie's trying to go for. Because it's still, I think
It kind of paced it a little better to me too.
yeah, because I think it humanizes the soldiers a little better.
So you're not
some
like,
of them,
fuck them.
some of them a
Some
little
of them.
better because it humanizes the individual. Because much like what Breck Eisner says in the commentary for the remake, this movie isn't trying to demonize the individual soldiers; it's trying to demonize the war machine, which is something that he wanted to invoke in the remake because that's how he felt about the original, and that's what Romero said as much as far as it goes, as far as his intent for what the original film should have been goes. So you know, it's about. Because, you know, the only real despicable characters in the military, outside of a couple of shitty individual soldiers here and there, are the bigwigs that are in Washington talking about what they're going to do, literally holding the lives of thousands of people in their palm of their hand and deciding whether or not to crush it or just let it play out or whatever.
Yeah, because one guy's just immediately get the nuke.
Yeah, just get the nuke. Just fuck it. We don't care. It doesn't
We'll
affect
blame
us.
somebody else.
It doesn't affect us, you know. And,
Fucking Russia.
Yeah. We'll just blame it on somebody else. Yeah, and I love that because that's realistic. I mean, that's what they would fucking do. And you know, so I think that kind of gives the film an extra layer. I don't know if I like the film as much as the remake. I'm still thinking about it, but you know, I still enjoy it. Do you think that what happens in both of these movies is a likely scenario? Like, do you think this would actually happen in real life?
You know, not to sound like a dick to anyone who like believes in all this shit, but I think there are people out there that wish this would happen.
Oh yeah,
Just be like, oh, I was right. The government is doing it.
and then so
Calm-
they can
calm
take
down,
out their
calm down.
guns and you know do their
Like,
thing.
like,
yeah.
like I was saying, if people watch this now, like after COVID and all that, they're like, yeah, this is the shit that's gonna go down or has been going down. All chill.
And you know what's funny is
Chill.
the remake actually came out during the swine flu epidemic.
Swine flu.
You remember that? I don't.
I don't.
Anyway,
I
so-
barely. That was like a week-long thing. And
Yeah,
then
it was. We got on top of that one pretty fucking quick. So you know,
Fuck
but
those bacons.
yeah. So I think it's plausible if it's a deadly thing. If it's a, but I don't think it's because I don't think they would do it for the betterment of the
Well,
people.
I mean, we've had the Black Plague.
Yeah, but I don't think they do it for the betterment of society so much as they would to cover their own ass. That's why I think this would be a thing. They try to cover it up before they try to help people. Personally, but I just don't like authority, so whatever. But that's just my personal take. If this did happen, it would be how it was portrayed in the film, which is, oh, we need to cover our asses, just nuke it, blame it on Russia, whatever. Like, you know, that's what I think. But I'm a little nihilistic, I'll admit. But that's how I think it would go down.
Call you Darth Nihilist.
Because you have to wonder like how something like this would be handled in real life if a deadly disease like this, like deadly disease like this started like making people act the way that they act in both of these movies.
I mean, people were acting like that with all the COVID restrictions, if we're being honest.
That's fair, but I don't know if they were well, crime rates did go up, but I don't know if it was like to this extent.
Not to this extent, but
But you know.
the instant you get told what to do, you're like, oh, you're oppressing me. Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of my face. It's
Yeah,
like,
go away.
okay, what if it's for your well-being, dude?
Yeah.
Like I'm all for standing against tyrannical powers and whatnot, but can we just have some common sense out there in the world, people?
How hard was it to put a mask on, my guy? Like that was all you had to do. That's it. That was it. Anyway,
We're not trying to push anyone's buttons here. This is just our opinions.
it's like I told Justin when I told him how this was gonna go. I told him we're never gonna escape from politics because art is inherently political, and horror, especially, is kind of like this pariah in the filmmaking world where a bunch of queer creators have expressed themselves, a bunch of black creators, Mexican creators, because it's easy to make a horror movie. Anybody can fucking make a horror movie. So horror movies are inherently going to be political in some sense, and this one is definitely no fucking different. We're never going to escape it. We're never going to have an episode where we're just like, yeah, fun. Like, it's always gonna be a discussion
Yeah,
like this.
especially if we talk about more recent movies too.
Yeah, and
Looking at you, Texas Chainsaw.
even some of the Chucky movies and
What?
and Hellraiser, because there's a lot of queer imagery, and especially in Hellraiser.
Oh, well, yeah.
But you know, we'll cross those bridges when we get to them.
Well, Hellraiser 5 is about a corrupted cop.
Oh boy, I don't want to watch.
That's my
Hellraiser.
favorite one.
There's 12 of them, and 13 almost, right? 13. This is gonna be the 12th one, right? Or the 11th one, the one that's coming out this Friday. It doesn't matter, but it looks good. You're gonna get a mini review of that when we do Evil Dead next time. I don't want to say next week just in case something happens, but yeah. So, you know, the original is good. Is there anything else you want to say about the original? Any cons? Any negative things about it?
The cons are you can obviously tell it was low budget.
Yes.
And like I said while we were watching it, it feels like every scene was one take and they're like, good, move on.
Yeah, it felt the dialogue also overlapped a lot.
Yeah.
I noticed that there's a lot of people talking over each other, and both of these movies, like we mentioned earlier, the dialogue's real low in the mix for some fucking reason. And
Well, the remake is just so they can sell the loud booms for the jump scares.
yeah, that's
Which
annoying.
annoys me.
That's like the one really big con I have for the remake, because the original doesn't really have any jump scares. The original's it's Romero, you know. It's if you've seen any of his zombie movies, you know what you're gonna get. There are these little transitions that Justin enjoyed quite a bit. If you want to go into detail about those,
Every time they would show like the plane that they had the nuke on in the original, it'd start up this little military generic drum beat, and then it'd show like stock footage of someone in an airplane pressing buttons, and then the airplane flying in the sky.
and they would be like hard cuts
Yeah,
too.
really
They
hard
would be
cuts.
like no faded, no wipe, just fucking hard.
It just pop up for a second with the music, and then it cuts off real quick.
It felt like a fucking fever dream. Like it was crazy.
There was the one part they did it like back to back 3 times.
Yeah, that was Justin was laughing quite a bit. It was good. It was funny. That's the thing is, like we said, it's unintentionally funny at times, but that usually comes from, you know, low budget horror movies. So, you know, that's the original, and we're gonna talk about it some more as we move in to talking about the remake. The remake. What did we think, Justin? What did we think about the remake?
Kind of boring. Honestly.
Really? I think I liked the remake quite a bit, but I just
after
those fucking jump scares.
After seeing the Pitchfork thing, I remembered when this movie was coming out and people were like, "Oh my god, this is such a thing. Like, this is such a good movie, such a dramatic thing." I'm like, what the fuck were you on back then? I've seen scarier stuff on my internet.
Well, this was 2010. This was before the really big resurgence, I feel, of like...
Rob Zombie's Halloween came before this movie.
You know what? Listen, okay, you're right. So I'm going to give you that. That is true. And Rob Zombie's Halloween is definitely more effective for all of its flaws than this film was, I think. That shot of Michael peering through the fucking window and that poor little girl screaming her lungs out is etched into my fucking brain at this point. Yeah. I love that scene so much. Michael, it's like I said in that episode, Michael's fucking scary in that movie. like actually fucking horrifying. He's like 7 feet fucking tall. And he's actually scary. In this movie, you got a bunch of coked up fucking farmers. Like that's what we're working with here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still like it. I still enjoy it, mainly because I like Timothy Olyphant a lot, and he plays David Dutton in this. If you ever watch Deadwood or Justified, you'll know him from that. Mom loves him because she's my mom, and you know she likes people sometimes.
Everyone's performances in the remake felt so fucking flat.
See, I disagree with that.
It's like nobody wanted to be there.
I feel like Timothy Olyphant was good, and the dude that played Russell Clank was good.
Yeah, Clank was the only one that was like selling his shit.
Everybody else did not want to be there at all.
Like the woman who played Judy, God, get her out of the movie.
She sounded bored.
I wish she died.
She said, "Wow,
honestly."
Justin, get some sleep, please."
Well, they killed her in the original.
I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt. Just Justin, get some sleep, okay?
They killed her in the original.
They did. She did get
and
pieced
she was
up,
It was a better actress and had better part. I mean, I guess that just comes down to the writing then, but Jesus, she could have tried a little more.
One thing about the original too is the original one ends kind of abruptly. I forgot to mention. I was gonna get to that later actually, but the original one ends a little abruptly. But this one kind of has a conclusion. But well, not kind of. It does have a conclusion.
Yeah,
but
they said fuck it, nuke them.
But yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I can see where that comes from because again, it's a fucking 2010 horror movie. Like this was before they started becoming like really mass produced. And it became a factory of fucking jump scares from Blumhouse and shit. But anyway, this movie, 2010, directed by Breck Eisner, screenplay written by Scott Kozar and Ray Wright, made $55 million off of a $20 million budget. So this was a success. This was a financial success.
What is wrong with you people?
Most of the film was shot in central Georgia and Lenox, Iowa. There's several notable Georgia locations that appear in the film. Makeup effects were done by Almost Human Studios. They also did the makeup for Quarantine, Frankenfish, and Prom Night.
Oh, yeah, Frankenfish.
Fucking Frankenfish. That's on the list,
What
too.
a classic.
I hope we get Frankenfish soon because that is... I got fond memories of watching that with my grandfather.
Sci-fi original.
But this movie... Where's my stupid Rotten Tomatoes blurb about it?
Rotten Tomatoes,
Did
more
I not
like...
fucking...
Josh eats tomatoes like apples. I don't know.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, he does. That's right. Okay, so here it is. The film was moderately well received. It was more well received than the original, believe it or not. But contemporary audiences are weird. So it got a 71%. The consensus said tense, nicely shot, and uncommonly intelligent.
What?
The Crazies is a horror remake that unusually works. So.
Does
Sure. I don't. I'm not gonna dismiss all of that, but I will say that they are gassing it up a little bit, just a little bit, because yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it has a social message that's a little more subtle, a lot more subtle actually. But I don't know. It's
I feel like it just could have been more.
Yeah, like that's, and I don't know if that's because of the studio, or if that's because Breck Eisner didn't want to push it because he has such reverence for the original. Because he talks up the original like a lot in the fucking commentary. He loves that fucking original, and he wanted to make his own vision of it while also paying a lot of homage to that original. He didn't want to touch it, like he wanted to make it work. He did going into a lot of behind the scenes shit here. Breck Eisner originally wanted the affected to just be zombies, to differentiate, right? He thankfully, in my opinion, stayed away from that cliche. 2010, that's when Walking Dead came out. That's when that resurgence of zombies was really fucking happening.
Yeah.
And thank fucking God.
And like I said to somebody the other day at work, zombies is such a tired thing to me now. Like, it just has no effect. Every time I see, the next great zombie game or next zombie movie, I'm like, next.
I still love the Romero movies, but yeah,
watching old ones fine, but continuing to make them without like trying to reinvent it in some way.
Yeah, like just... Left 4 Dead 2 was out at this point, and Left 4 Dead 2, both of them.
Yeah, and look, Back 4 Blood was garbage.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Call of Duty's zombie trope is fucking tired.
Absolutely. Yeah, there were zombies in Call of Duty and everything too, yeah. But he decided to go for a more, what he called under the skin approach, because what happened was when they were coming up with the designs, they kept trying to like give them like blisters and like a lot of mucus and shit on their face, like skin breakage and stuff. And they just kept looking like zombies to him. And he was like, fuck it, we'll just do under the skin. So that's why you have a more subtle, in quotes, look where the veins kind of pop out. And if you notice, when they're in the final stages of their infection, their neck muscles are real tense and like bulging. And I mean, I think that works better because the way he wanted to portray the zombies or not the zombies, but the Crazies in this movie is more akin to something like Crossed. I had written down that like what he wanted to do was that the infection doesn't really necessarily make you violent. What it does is it kind of gives you, it kind of unlocks any inhibitions that block that. So like Crossed, which is a Garth Ennis book that's one of the most depraved things you'll ever fucking read. But it unlocks those inhibitions, so that's why you'll have like Lynn Lowry's cameo is a girl that reverted back to what she wants to be, which is a little girl on a bike, carefree. You have those two dudes punching the dumpsters that are sanitation workers that have a deep-seated hatred, I guess, for sanitation. So they start punching a trash can. You have William at the beginning who murders his family by setting the house on fire, who has a deep-seated resentment towards his family. So that's the idea, is that those deep-seated emotions and feelings come to the surface because that's what the virus brings out.
Oh, well, that makes sense why the couple wanted to kill
David the widow and son of the of Roy, I think, was Rory, the guy that got killed at the beginning of the movie. And if the director hadn't explained that to me, I wouldn't have known that. So that's why I think I like it a little bit more. It's that fucking Saint Anger Rob Zombie Halloween effect, where if I watch it with the commentary, I appreciate the movie more. I think that's why I'm leaning more towards the remake, because I know more about the remake and what the intent was behind it. And I think that, it pays off when you have that stuff in mind, personally.
Another side note, Jeepers Creepers Reborn is fucking garbage.
Oh, yeah, I heard.
What a travesty.
There's a lot of, bad CGI in it, apparently.
Like, when you call Jeepers Creepers 3 a better movie than Reborn?
That bad, huh?
That bad.
Wow.
Plus, they totally fucked up the creature design.
Huh.
And they didn't even get the original dude who played the creeper.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
So, automatic fail right there, because Jonathan Breck sold that character.
Yeah, it's crazy when a pedophile makes a better movie than you, huh? Anyway, back to this. Also with that under the skin approach, he wanted them to look hyper alive. He wanted them to
It
look.
kind of made me think of the getting possessed in Evil Dead.
Yeah. And they even fucking wear contacts that cover their entire eyes that they had to keep moisturizing so that way it wouldn't cause any injuries, which is something I'm going to mention when we talk about Evil Dead, because that's a big thing with that. Sam Raimi loves to torture his actors.
Yeah.
And boy, does he torture them. So Breck Eisner's one rule for the makeup design was to have the team research medical books and consult medical professionals. Robert Hall, the lead designer, said that, and I quote, "If we were to pitch something to Breck about if, one side of the face should look like this, Breck would immediately want to know what disease it came from and what version of reality it could be implemented into Trixie. But the most important thing was to make sure it felt real, make it feel like you could get it too. Rabies, tetanus, and Steven Johnson syndrome, which don't look that up because that shit's gross, were the main diseases that the team used as a basis.
Steven Johnson's is what?
Yeah, it's like a bunch of, not lesions, but it looks gross. It looks bad. Stevens Johnson syndrome. It would also take up to 3 hours to apply makeup to the actors playing the infected. Robert Hall said that he wanted the Crazies to look stressed. Veins and eyes were the main focus for achieving the look, as well as lighting and camera angles. Actors wore contact lenses that covered the entire eye. Required eye drops every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes in order to reduce the risk of injury.
Holy shit, this is horrific.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's gross, dude. Why'd you look it up? Oh my god.
Oh, you can get on your tongue too.
Yeah, it's gross, dude.
Like seals your eyes shut.
It's bad. Yeah, it's rough. Like the original, the final script differs from the original screenplay that was presented to Breck Eisner. Initially, the film was to focus on two different perspectives, the military and the infected townsfolk. Eisner wanted a more human horror story and decided to focus mainly on the townsfolk, in particular, David and Judy Dutton. And I don't know. I think that's where the pacing kind of gets affected for you, is because it just focuses on those two characters. But it's a different kind of movie too. Like, both of these movies feel very distinct from each other, which I kind of appreciate when it comes to remakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't know. If it was acted better, then fine. But I just got bored looking at them. And every interaction between every character was just so stupid.
That's fair. Eisner also wanted the film to feel more epic in scale.
You know what Judy reminded me of?
Who did Judy remind you of?
Fucking Skylar from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, but Anna Gunn's a good actress, though.
But I hate that bitch.
Listen, buddy.
Buddy. Through the little clips of that show that I've seen, because I've never watched
She
it.
reacted normally to the situation.
I know, but
like if
parts where she like tries to put herself into the business and make like she's some big thing too, it's like, shut up.
Yeah, and then you know.
I did not
that's
like
what
her
happens.
character.
Well,
One of the reasons I didn't watch the show.
She's
that
a good
and I
actress,
can't take
though.
Bryan Cranston seriously.
Anna Gunn is also in Deadwood, starring opposite Timothy Olyphant.
Deadwood.
So that's something. But
like that game Darkwood.
yeah, a little different though. But yeah, Eisner wanted the film to feel more epic in scale as opposed to the
remake?
Yeah, as opposed to the claustrophobic feel of the original. I don't know if he accomplished that, but
No.
But
The only
those were
thing
his
good
words.
in my eyes that the remake does is the kills.
Which we'll get to. But also, I mentioned earlier that both houses were actually burned down in both films. But the house in the remake was burnt down because it was an abandoned home because the family that owned it felt that there was an evil presence in the house. So they were more than happy to have them just light it up. And I think that's fucking insane that this family was like, yeah, there's like ghosts or some shit. Just burn it. I don't fucking know. Like, fuck that. You know?
I would buy their house.
You would have, you
I
know?
want to live in a haunted house.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, I technically already have.
All right, buddy. Anyway, one of the kills in this movie
Wait, which one?
is the one where with the bone saw, with the coroner, where the coroner hits
Oh yeah,
Timothy Olyphant on the head, and then he tries to get him with the bone saw,
that kill could have been better.
and then he like wraps him with it, and it cuts his neck or whatever. But then the bone saw, very comically, I might add, starts scampering towards Timothy Olyphant's crotch, and this was achieved with a piece of fishing wire that was pulled towards Timothy Olyphant, and he said that they used a bunch of different like blades to get it to bounce right and shit. Pretty interesting. I like behind the scenes shit like that. That's why I always talk about it in these when I can. And you know, so that's cool. I like it when practical effects are used. It wasn't a CG bone saw. None of that weak shit. That was practical.
No CG blood.
Practical. Well, there was a little bit.
A little bit.
But and it was but he said it was mainly because squibs weren't firing properly, so they would have to do CG stuff here and there. It's not obvious,
Yeah.
and that's appreciated.
Because I obviously couldn't tell if I just said that.
Yeah. And going back into the depiction of the military, he wanted it to feel like it was a full-scale invasion, which I think he accomplished that.
In the remake?
In the remake, yes.
No.
Yes, I think
I got
he did.
no sense of that.
I don't know, man. The fact that they already had that camp set up and shit, I feel like that was an invasion.
That one felt more like they were actually trying to evacuate them. Like the original seems more of a invasion than anything, because you get the scenes of them going into everybody's houses and taking them all away and putting them.
Yeah.
Like the remake just is like, oh, soldiers are here. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then you have that part where they're at the camp, and then that them good old boys in the pickup truck come barreling through to try to break all the people out, and I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
But this film didn't get any involvement from the military, not surprising. Eisner stated that the military only consults and supports big budget films that are pro-military. He stated that he doesn't believe this film is necessarily pro-military, so they didn't even bother trying to consult with the army, which is probably a good bet. Because the army, usually works with like MCU movies and shit. Like the Winter Soldier, I know, had a lot of involvement, and they do like Jack Ryan, and I'm pretty sure they help with Mission Impossible. They obviously helped with Top Gun Maverick. But they don't really help with stuff like this that makes them look bad.
I hate Tom Cruise.
I know you do. All right, listen. Anyway, so they don't really help with stuff that could make them look bad, because America is a bunch of big old babies. We don't like it when you say the fuck word, and we don't like it when you show me a man's butt. America, fuck yeah. Also, I didn't know this going into the movie, but the cinematographer for this film was Maxime Alexandre, which is a name I should have recognized because he shot High Tension, and he also shot the Hills Have Eyes remake, the first one anyway. And
I could see that. Yeah.
so he's a very prominent like cinematographer from the other side of the pond. Eisner talked with him by chance and didn't initially realize who he was. Once he found out that Alexandre shot High Tension and the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, he immediately offered him the job, and Alexandre accepted. Eisner spoke very highly of him during the commentary. He said that he paints with light, which you can kind of get because he likes to use shadows a lot. There's a lot of dark scenes in this movie, but I never felt like they were too dark or that they weren't shot well.
Yeah.
Maxime is a very good cinematographer. Also, if I ever met Brett Eisner, we would be best friends because he highly recommends High Tension. So we would be best buddies just based off of that. So, hey, if you're listening by some chance, I'll be your fucking friend. I don't know. You like High Tension? I like High Tension. That's good enough.
See if you can hit him up on Cameo.
Shit, that'd be something, huh? But, what was I gonna say? Let me see. What else did I write? I wrote a lot of stuff. Eisner said, and I can kind of see what he was going for here. So you have scenes in the remake where the main cast will start to kind of question their allegiance. You know, they'll start to question each other and question who's infected and who isn't infected. And he said the big inspiration for that was John Carpenter's The Thing, because the bulk of that movie, albeit it's more claustrophobic, very much more claustrophobic, is the paranoia. That's what I love so much about that movie, is how it conveys paranoia and how it conveys the lack of the bond and trust breaking down between these buddies, you know. And he said that was what he was going for, and I can kind of see that, but it only really happens with like two characters. It really just happens between Clank and David. So, you know, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, yeah, I guess he kind of succeeded in that. I don't think it was as effective as The Thing, but, you know, few movies are, in my opinion, because that's like top tier fucking horror for me.
Yeah, like The Thing prequel.
All right, buddy. You know what? Don't talk anymore, all right?
I will say what I want.
I'm going to kick you out.
This is America.
I'm going to kick you out of the podcast. Get him out of here. Get him the hell out of here.
Yeah, George, get me out of here. You can't. You're laying down.
No, George is a good cat. He doesn't hurt people, except for
He
my
scratched
friends.
me one time.
Listen, buddy, I don't want to hear that slander about my cat.
He knows what he did.
Eisner also mentioned that Trixie, like I mentioned earlier, had made people revert to their most primal instincts and their deep-seated desires and emotions, and I already talked about that.
Every time you say Trixie, all I think about is Californication, because Judy Greer was a prostitute named Trixie in that show.
Judy Greer, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's something. I don't know why I couldn't get into that show. That's a damn shame.
It's a really good show.
I've heard. I just haven't really.
I feel like I'm gonna watch it again.
Oh my god, that's your. I'm not gonna stop you. Anyway, so
like eighth time.
The truck stop.
Never watch Spartacus again.
The truck stop at the end of the movie was a real truck stop that they came upon by chance.
The rapper. No.
Stop. They came upon by chance, and it was a little bit of serendipity that happened.
Like Rob Zombie seeing that stupid white horse?
No. No. I guess it was. Fuck. That's a good point, because I did say that, didn't I? Motherfucker. Rob Zombie, you fucking, I hate you. I want to like that movie so bad, but you make it so hard for me.
He didn't even like 2, so.
He didn't like John Carpenter's Halloween 2. He said that he didn't like the version of 2 that he put out in theaters because of all the studio interference. Because there's a lot of that. But anyway, yeah, so they found that the truck stop was going out of business, and luckily they were able to grab it for that great set piece at the end that I think is pretty neat. So back to the virus itself. Rob Hall and Eisner came up with 5 stages for Trixie. First stage is uninfected, and the 5th stage is death. They spoke with the CDC on how a disease could be weaponized. Eisner says it took them a long time before they came up with a good design that didn't look too zombie-like. I mentioned that before. Actors that were at stage 4, which is the tense neck muscles and shit, had to have a full face and neck mold done in order to get prosthetics for the desired effect. Eisner also wanted each infected to have their own unique physical attributes. And I love stuff like that. I don't know. I like watching makeup effects work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's really neat. I think the makeup effects are good in this movie. It's all practical. And I think that's great. It's all practical lighting and everything. Like, and that's fucking awesome because I think the design, the looks of them are very good in the remake.
Looks, effects, and all that about the remake are great.
They're
Everything
fantastic.
else sucks.
Especially because, in 2010 everybody was doing shitty CG stuff. So, I was very happy with that. And I already mentioned the swine flu connection. Did you know that Elizabeth Banks was supposed to be Judy, I'm assuming, but she declined the role because she felt that it was too similar to her role in Slither. And that makes me sad because I think Elizabeth Banks would have been a lot better in that role, personally.
I'm trying to remember. Never mind, I remember who that is.
Yeah.
She was in Scrubs.
She was, yes.
I hated her character.
Well, buddy, listen, I think she would have been good in this movie because she played her role well in Slither, and if it was similar to that, I think it would have been pretty good.
Slither.
But also, on a more downer note, Robert Hall, who I've mentioned before, did the makeup effects for this. I noticed in the special features, because there's a special feature on the Blu-ray of him like doing that crazy that gets lit on fire under the truck.
Yeah.
Doing his makeup, which took 3 hours. And I noticed he was wearing a shirt of Chrome Skull from Laid to Rest. And it was like some like take on like that fucking Hope poster that Obama used at one point. And it was Chrome Skull holding a knife, and it said, no hope, I think is what it said. And I was like, I wonder if he did the effects for that. So I looked it up. Turns out he wrote and directed both of the Laid to Rest movies, which we're going to get to at some point.
I love those movies.
Yeah, because Justin likes them a lot. And we're going to get to those at some point.
We
but,
never got a third movie.
Yeah, because Robert Hall is dead. He died last May in 2021. Don't know how or anything, but he was a fucking great makeup effects guy, man. Like, I've seen some of the effects from the Laid to Rest movies. They're pretty good. So
The knife through the cheek.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great talent that's gone. And I was reading about a bunch of like from people in the industry talking about him and how he was just this great guy to work with and how he mentored a bunch of them and stuff. So a big old RIP to him because his effects in this film were fantastic. His effects in Laid to Rest, which I'm going to say are just vehicles to display his effects prowess, are incredible too. So, it sucks that he's gone, that people die and it's not good. But big old RIP to him.
I'm forgetting her fucking name.
Who?
And I feel dumb.
Who?
The actress who played Jamie.
In what? Laid to Rest?
No. In Halloween.
You mean Jamie Lee Curtis?
No. The little girl, Halloween 4.
Oh, Danielle Harris?
Yes, she's in Laid to Rest too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Now, we'll get to those eventually. But, yeah, so that sucks. That made me real sad when I was researching it. It made me feel real upset. But, his work lives on. And that's the cool thing about art, too, is that your work lives on. So, yeah, the remake, I want to talk about our feelings on that now more, I guess, explicitly.
What?
So, first I'm going to ask, do you think the original is better? Yes?
I enjoyed it more.
You enjoyed it more. But do you think it's better?
It does better in some ways than the remake, and the remake does some things better. But when would I watch again? Probably the original.
Yeah. I feel like I'd watch the remake again, but those fucking jump scares aggravate me. I hate that fucking trend so much.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you combined the plot of the original with the effects and cinematography of the remake, you'd have a pretty fucking good movie. It's like it's like two halves of what would make a great whole.
Essentially, that was because the original is more from the perspective of the military's
That was
part
some
in
bad
it.
phrasing there. I'm sorry. It's a good hole. So anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
The original is more of the military's perspective, and then the remake gives you the perspective of more of David and Judy, and it's annoying for that.
See, I think if you because a horror movie that goes on for longer than 2 hours outside of like something like a fucking art house film isn't really viable. It starts to drag, the pacing starts to suffer, and all that other shit. But I think if you found a nice happy medium between the military's perspective and then David and Judy's perspective, I think you'd have a pretty good movie. I kind of appreciate that it focuses more on the human aspect, like the townspeople. I kind of like that. But at the same time, I can see how somebody that doesn't watch the commentary and that hasn't seen the original, I can see how they would be kind of, I guess, perplexed by what exactly the film was trying to do. But I mean,
I get it. It's just like I said, the performances in the remake just don't sell it for me.
Yeah, and that's fair. Timothy Olyphant makes some weird faces.
It looked like he was trying to be sarcastic with everything he said.
But yeah, like Justin mentioned, the kills are all great. You have the Bonesaw guy. You got the.
Oh wait, let me quickly describe every kill from the original. It just looked like everyone got shot with a paintball, excluding the stabbings and that one head that Clank shoots and just it gets obliterated.
Fucking obliterated. I love it.
Like he's doing barely anything with body shots, and then gets this headshot, and the head just goes boom.
It just a fucking like plaster. It was awesome. Like it made both Justin and I go Jesus. Like we were like it was because it's from fucking 73. You don't expect that shit in a movie from 73. That's one thing. Like that's one thing I admire about Romero. And there was an interview I saw about there was a fucking special feature on the Blu-ray for the remake where people were just gassing up Romero, which good. But they were talking about how like Romero's always been a gory filmmaker. Like if you watch Night of the Living Dead, the reason you don't think that's so gory is because it's in black and white. But like it's still got all the gut eating, all the evisceration, all that shit. But like it's in black and white, so it doesn't impact you as hard as it does in something like Dawn of the Dead or even this, And yeah, I mean and for a fucking micro budget movie, the effects are pretty good, man. Mm-hmm. I think yeah, it looks a little bit like paint, but I think it works.
Yeah, it worked.
I think it works. The effects are better in the remake, obviously, and I appreciate that they're practical. But I think the kills are better in the remake too, like Justin said. You get more of the crazies being crazy. Yeah, and also I like the design of the crazies more in the remake. I'm sure I've said that before.
The first death in the remake is Rory getting shot by David because he walks up to the baseball field with a shotgun.
Yeah, he just strolls in. He's got a bloody nose.
It's like, I'm here now.
And he's like, hey, yo. Yeah, he's like, I am here now. That's a joke for two people that might get that. Anyway, so, yeah, he walks in. He gets pieced up because he points his gun at fucking David. And his family, Rory's family is like upset with him. But I'm like, bitch, he fucking pointed the shotgun at him. What was he going to do? Like, at that point, like, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't know, man.
Kill or be killed.
He obviously wasn't fucking listening to reason. And, but I think his mistake was implying that he was drunk because the wife took personal offense to that.
He's been sober for 2 years. You know how proud he was of that.
Yeah, you know how proud he was of that. And I just imagine Rory he's one of those guys that every chance he gets is like, man, this here soda water, the color of it reminds me of that beer I used to like. I used to love that. I'm sober now though. I don't touch it anymore.
Like, good for you, buddy. Shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
yeah, he's one of those guys. He's one of those fucking I have to make sure everybody knows about it type. He probably puts like his sobriety chip like on a necklace and like walks around town with it. Oh, and he's like, people don't even ask him what it is. He's like, this is my sobriety chip. 2 years, 2 years I've been sober. And it's just some like woman trying to shop with her kid. Yeah, okay, like it's a small town. I can see that happening. Yeah, that's very plausible for me because it's a very small Midwestern town. But yeah, so Rory gets shot. What's the next kill, Justin?
I don't remember.
Oh my fucking god! The next kill is Bill. Who has a doctor's visit.
No, he kills his family.
He kills his family, but before that, he visits Judy, or his wife brings him to Judy, and he's like, I don't know why she's worrying. I'm fine. I don't know why she worries so much. And then
he repeats the line.
And then he repeats it when Judy asks him what he's going to do this weekend. Turns out his weekend plans involved murder because he lures his wife out of the house with a crop harvester. I want to say that's what that was. And
a combine.
Combine, there we go. Like Half-Life 2. Speaking of Half-Life 2, the fucking chatter in both of these movies from the military reminds me of Half-Life 2 because there are some lines you can make out clearly and there's some lines like it's just that. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what you just said, but all right. Like that's what it reminded me of.
Half-Life, more like overrated.
Stop it! No!
I can feel people's anger.
That's where I draw the line. You don't.
It's not that great.
Nope. No. Get out of my house. You're no. I'll do Gore Goblins by myself. Fuck you.
Nah.
Get out of here.
You need me.
Get out. Actually, I kind of. Yeah, I guess I do. We're in this together. We're bros. Bros for life. You know how it is. We're like we're like the John Lennon and Paul McCartney of podcasts.
Don't compare me to the Beatles after what you said earlier, which I will not repeat here.
But anyway, yeah. So Bill,
yeah, Beatles, another overrated thing.
Hey, listen here, buddy. Listen here. You're right, but they're still good. Okay, just like Metallica's overrated, but they're still good.
Don't hate me, Kale.
Kale's gonna hate you. Kale's a loving person, I guess. I don't know. Kale, if you hate Justin, send me a text about it. I guess I don't know. Just do whatever. But no, they are overrated. But I still like them a lot. It's like Metallica's overrated, Megadeth's overrated. Bands that are popular.
Become a god.
But bands that are popular are by definition overrated. Unfortunately, Ghost is overrated in some circles.
Hey, fuck you. No.
But Ghost is still good. Okay.
People be like, Ghost isn't metal.
It's. I mean, if you're going to say that fucking Volbeat and Metallica post and Justice are metal, then you have to say Ghost is metal. I don't understand. And the certified sidetrack segment, fuck it. Okay? If you're going to say that shit like Volbeat and fucking Metallica are metal, like Black Album onward, then fucking Ghost is metal too. They're more melodic with it, but they're still metal. Opeth is melodic, but they're still fucking death metal on that first run of albums. How do you not? Whoo! That makes me.
Because you got stupid elitists who think if you're not screaming and putting out blast beats on every fucking inch of a song, then it's not metal.
If you think Five Finger Death Punch, okay?
There are people.
If you think Five Finger Death Punch is metal, then Ghost is metal, okay? Okay,
God, how is
that's the rule.
Death Punch still a thing?
That's the rule. All right. I think subgenres.
Oh, you want to talk about somebody who posts their sobriety everywhere? Fucking Ivan Moody.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
I've been sober. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up.
Every chance he gets, he brings it up as like an excuse for like
his shitty lyrics.
Hey man, but we're all a little bit off.
You wanted to call some of Slipknot's lyrics cringy in this last album. Every Five Finger Death Punch song is a cringe fest.
Like, listen, I can enjoy songs if they have cringy lyrics. Saint Anger is full of cringy lyrics because James didn't do all the writing. But I still enjoy that album, and I think it's because I watched Some Kind of Monster before I listened to it. I swear that movie is just like subliminal messaging to make you like the album. But I think subgenres, back to this, I think subgenres are stupid. I think just enjoy whatever fucking music you like. But when you start to get elitist, like Justin said, about like what genre something is, and I only listen to it if it's like this, then you're limiting yourself. Like you're not. You look like a big ass fucking dork. First of all, second of all, you're limiting things you could enjoy. I used to be like that. You can ask Kale. I used to be like that. I used to be very much more opinionated about music and films and stuff than I am now. And I used to like hate it when somebody didn't like what I liked, or when somebody dared to get me to listen to something out of my comfort zone. But like then I found a bunch of music that I ended up enjoying. You're limiting yourself. Just like what you like. Don't have these hardline fucking stances on, oh, if it's not this, if it's not played in this weird ass time signature, I won't enjoy it. If the songs aren't this long, I won't enjoy it. Or even if the songs are too long, I won't enjoy it. Which, that I can understand, because, a long song can kind of drone on for a bit. But
fucking Dream Theater with
but
14-minute songs.
Like Dream Theater. I'm not big on Dream Theater, but if you like Dream Theater, that's cool. I'm not crazy about him. I feel like John Petrucci, he's very talented technically, but I feel like he puts no emotion into his playing. I don't know. I feel like he just kind of plays real fast, and then he's happy with it, and that's fine. But I personally like Jeff Loomis, who's now with Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
He's a very, very, very good guitar player. And my man has written compositions that have affected me with no lyrics and nothing else but the guitar, and that's very, very that gets an A+ in my book. But anyway, like I said,
Buckethead,
like Buckethead, Soothsayer makes me feel things. Soothsayer is a great song. I love Soothsayer. Oh man. Anyway, so music. If you like what you like, if you think it's overrated, you can still enjoy it. Like, just fucking all these subgenres, especially in the metal community, I think are a detriment to discovering new bands and new scenes. Like, for the longest time, I was like, man, death metal fucking sucks, because all I heard was Cannibal Corpse, and I don't really like Cannibal Corpse. I think they rely on blast beats a little too much. I will say that there are a couple of Corpse Grinder era songs that are good, that I enjoy, but as a whole, I'm not crazy about them. But then one of my coworkers got me to dig deeper into death metal, and now I go to I think I've been to like 6 death metal shows this year, and I'm going to 2 more before the year's over. So I really like that stuff. And I never would have, if I had just stayed closed-minded and been like, oh, it all sounds like Cannibal Corpse, then I never would have found Undeath or Gatecreeper or Morbid Angel or fucking whoever else I enjoy. Fucking Sanguisugabog, all of them great ass fucking death metal bands. But just like what you like, and don't be an asshole if somebody doesn't like what you like. Don't be me circa 2014, 2015, please. I was a big piece of shit. Don't be like me. But anyway, that's the end of this certified sidetrack segment.
Part 2.
We were talking about kills, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it was Bill does that. I want to say that after that,
he was just being Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yeah, because when he's in the jail cell, he's just playing statue and going, Bill, 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 Bill. Do you remember that part? That was good.
That song's going to be stuck in my head all fucking day.
It's a banger, Justin. No shame in that.
The only show that ever actually taught me something.
Yeah. Yeah, school was fun. Anyway, so I think the next kill is the fucking guy is the dude with the pitchfork, right?
Yeah.
No, it's Bonesaw, right? Bonesaw's after Bill. And then the dude with the pitchfork, which is one of my favorite sequences in the movie.
Oh, well, that the coroner dude, he stitched up the Reverend's eyes and mouth.
Yeah, that shit was rough.
It looked really fucking cool.
Yeah, this is fucking practical effects, man. They hold up. They hold up so much better than fucking shitty CG effects, man. Oh, I love practical effects. God damn it. Anyway. Blah. Yeah, so he did that, and then the pitchfork is the principal of the school, which Brett Eisner was talking about how, he probably had, this love-hate relationship with the kids, so now he's acting out on that deep-seated resentment that he has towards the kids, and he's just, so the military has all these kids, strapped onto tables because they're infected, and old fucking principal boy just walks up to them with a pitchfork and just starts like stabbing them like one by one, and it's like really fucking gnarly because like he does a first stab to break the skin, and then he does a second one to like really kind of like push it in, and like you get a shot of the underside of the bed, and you just see the spokes just fucking come through, and I'm just like, man, that's pretty gnarly. I really like that sequence though. That is a very tense sequence. I like it a lot. And when you got Maxime Alexandre behind the camera, he knows how to shoot it, and boy did he shoot it. What was after that, Justin? Do you remember? Because I'm kind of blanking here.
After that, I think the rest of the kills are just like gunshot kills.
The gunshot kills. Like you have
You get the scene where David and Judy get confronted with Rory's family.
Oh, that's a cool scene too.
Yeah,
I like that scene a lot too because there's that shot where they go back to their house after unsuccessfully trying to save what's her name's boyfriend. Because it's so the main gang. It's David, Clank, Judy, and then some girl that worked as like an assistant for Judy.
Becca,
there we go. And they try to save her boyfriend Scott. Him and his mom get killed and set on fire because they're infected or whatever. I don't know.
I made a Star Wars reference that John didn't understand, and it made me sad.
Yeah, well, that's what we get when
no incinerations this time.
Which I didn't even know Boba Fett killed Luke's fucking Guardians. I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I love Empire Strikes Back, but I don't fucking remember that. I do not remember that at all. That was an Empire, right? I'm gonna assume that was an Empire.
When he's talking to all the bounty hunters to go after Luke, and he's like, "No incinerations this time," and he points at Boba because he sent Boba to deal with the aunt and uncle.
Well, see, that's something I didn't know. I'm a big stinky, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, they set him on fire.
Boba Fett's overrated.
And then yeah, he's whatever. Anyway, so then David and Judy get to their own house, and Judy goes up to the room for their would-be child. And while she's in there, the camera pans over, and you see the fucking widow of Rory just fucking in the corner. And I love that shot. I love shots like that where there's no jump scare boom. It's just, oh shit, you see that? Like that. If the movie had a bunch of that, cool.
It's like that part in Insidious where the camera's just flipping angles and shit.
Yeah.
And the red things behind it.
Yeah.
I fucking hated that so much.
If there's no fucking boom, it's more effective and it's cooler. And it's really fucking cool when it happens in this movie. And then, so then off screen, the widow ties up Judy. David comes up, and she sees Judy, he sees Judy tied up, and then the son, Rory's son, tackles him.
He's like, "What the fuck? It's not our sex night yet."
And then that's a line. And then he gets tackled, and his gun gets knocked out of his hand. So then he's trying to reach for that, and then the widow stabs him in the fucking hand with a knife, gnarly. And then she picks up the gun and she's like, "Oh, I think this is the gun that killed your father." And I'm just like, yeah, it probably was, bitch. And then she starts threatening to kill Judy. David starts antagonizing her to draw attention away, and he says like, "I killed him because he was a fucking drunk," and all this other shit, like saying some really hurtful things if we're being honest. And then he's able. This motherfucker fucking. Pulls the fucking knife up while he pulls his hand up with the knife still impaled in it. And Breck Eisner has said that initially he was going to have him just like split his hand, pulling the knife out like that. And then he was going to wrestle the gun away and kill both of them like that. But he said we ended up just shooting it the way it's shot in the film. He's like, and I kind of like that better. And I do too.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool ass shot where he fucking rips the knife out and then he fucking stabs the widow in the throat with it. It's fucking sick as shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. If I was in a theater, I might have started clapping. But then, he pulls the knife out. She collapses, and then her son pops up with the gun, and then he gets fucking Deus Ex Machina'd by Clank from outside. And this is where you find out Clank is starting to turn because he kind of goes sicko mode on the two corpses, making sure they're dead, doing double and triple taps.
Yeah, he shoots them up.
He shoots him up good. And then after that, the next death is Becca, which has one of the more, I'm going to say, inventive deaths. Because there's this sequence in a car wash, which was filmed in a fucking airplane hangar, by the way. And if you notice, it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. And Breck Eisner said that it was kind of funny. He's like, I understand it's kind of funny because there's just a car wash in the middle of a fucking freeway. He's like, but whatever. He's like, I had to make it work for the film. So then, they stop at this car wash.
To hide from a helicopter.
A Black Hawk, I'm assuming, or I don't fucking care. But they go in there, and there's these crazies. Somehow the car wash gets started, probably by the crazies, and then they start like swarming them. They break the windows and shit, and they're almost out. And then one of them jump scares the audience and comes in with like a tube that they wrap around Becca's neck, and it just fucking pulls her out of the back of the car and just instantly snaps her neck. That's fucking crazy. And then they take out the crazies and they go to her, but she's already dead. And then the car that they were in gets blown up by the copter. And then after that, I believe, is the, I guess, fucking CIA agent. I don't know, some military guy. Justin said was in Transformers. He gets a very elaborate car stunt where Clank lays out railroad spikes, road spikes, and the car does a bunch of flippy flips, and then Homeboy crawls out, and they question him a bit, and then Clank shoots him in the fucking head without warning. That got a Jesus out of Justin. Which it's always funny when that happens because I don't expect it to happen, and then it does, and I'm like, really, that got you, huh? Like that's the one? But I knew as soon as he got taken out, I was like, oh, he's going to get killed suddenly. I know it. Like, even when I was watching the commentary, I was like, that's going to happen. And sure enough, it happens. And then the next death is Clank going out as a distraction. Good for him. He got to go out on his own terms. Always love to see that for a girl boss. So he was able to go out on his own terms, come to terms with what he was going to be. It's a lot like fucking, I guess, Tess from Last of Us. Sure, that's something that I can spoil that none of my friends will give a shit about.
Because Last of Us sucks.
Listen. I'll die on the hill if the first game's good. I still need to play the second one. I'm not looking forward to it, but
and then they're making a show of that garbage.
Because I don't know, it's already like a fucking movie anyway, the game. So I think it could work. I think it could work. I'm probably, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. The actress that plays Ellie doesn't look a lot like her, and a lot of people are upset about that. I don't really give a shit. Pedro Pascal is Joel though. That's something. I like Pedro Pascal. I don't know. I might give it a try. I'm not gonna hold my breath on it though. But yeah, so then he goes out on his own terms, and then I think that's it. Cause then the hunters in the fucking truck stop. One of the coolest sequences. First Judy finds a trailer where the military rounded up everybody, infected or not, and killed all of them, and then set their bodies on fire. And then you have the three hunters that pop up intermittently throughout the movie, come and attack, and Judy and David fight them off. David sets one of them on fire. Judy blows one of their brains out, which that was a practical effect. That was a practical squib. All the blood getting on the windshield. That's a really cool effect.
That looked good.
And so they kill him. How did the third hunter go out? Do you remember? There was three of them, right?
I think there was only two.
There was only two, right? Okay. Yeah. I'm crazy. Anyway, and then
He's got the crazies.
And then they get in the Mack truck and they drive away, and the town gets nuked. And that's the end of the movie. They start walking to Cedar Rapids, and then the military's like, "Oh, we gotta quarantine Cedar Rapids now. The crazy virus is spreading."
Because of them.
Yeah, because of them. Mm-hmm.
I like the ending in the original better.
It's very abrupt, but it's a lot more. It's not as heavy-handed, I don't think.
They don't drop the nuke in the original.
They don't drop the nuke. Instead, they're just like, "Hey, Colonel, you're gonna have to go somewhere else.
We got signs of it there. So
we got signs of it there, buddy.
Continue on.
Never gonna end for you." And but they both have that message of it never ends. It's never enough, and that's cool. but I guess it's a little more bombastic in the remake because they had the budget for it.
Because there's a bomb.
All right, buddy. Anyway, but yeah, that's the Crazies. Final thoughts, Justin. What do you got?
I'm not crazy about it, but
Good one, dude.
it was a fine watch. Enjoyable movies for what they were.
This is our first double stuffed episode, man.
Double stuffed.
I don't know how often
Like
we're
an
gonna do
Oreo.
this.
Never again.
No, 'cause we're gonna have to do it for something like The Fog. Oh
The
god,
Frog.
that Fog remake is fucking awful too. Evil Dead's remake is not gonna be a double-decker episode because Evil Dead's remake is its own thing.
And because we gotta watch Evil Dead, then Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to starting that next week. I don't really have any final thoughts. I've pretty much said everything I want to say about these movies. I think they're fine. I don't know if I'd ever watch them again. Again, it just feels like if you combined the two, you
Yeah.
have a really fucking awesome movie. So if I do rewatch them, I'd rewatch them for very different reasons. But, they're still all right. I mean... Would you recommend either of these movies, Justin, to any discerning horror fans?
Yeah, I mean, if you just need a horror movie to watch, there's this. There you go. It's something you can add to your catalog. Like,
And I would recommend both of them, but for different reasons. I would recommend the original if you like cult 70s stuff, and I would recommend the remake if you want something with good effects and good kills.
and a little more in your face.
And a little more in-your-face type shit, yeah. But that's the Crazies. Next week, we're doing Evil Dead!
Evil Dead.
Hell yes! We're doing Evil Dead. I can't wait. And we're going to start with Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is what the first one's officially called.
The Evil Dead.
And I cannot fucking wait to do research on this movie because I love the Evil Dead franchise so much. When we get to Army of Darkness, I'm going to have to watch that bitch like 4 times because there's 4 different versions of it. But
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for this. I'm going to do it for the podcast, baby. But yeah, we're going to start with Evil Dead. We might have a guest on here with us, and that'll be fun. But we'll see what goes on. And in between each Evil Dead, we're going to do a spin the wheel to find out what our next one-off movie will be. And
Hopefully it's a movie I picked.
hopefully it's not a Serbian film. Or Salo. Or fucking Martyrs. Or anything or Irreversible. Hopefully it's none of those. Hopefully it's none of those. And watch it be all of those. I would be so upset. Oh, God. So we got some bangers coming up. So thanks for listening.
Yep.
We appreciate everybody that listens to us. Follow our page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at Mustachio Cage. My handle is Desi Ramirez because that's what my mom should have named me. It's just Gore Goblins on Facebook.
And on YouTube, go subscribe,
And then we're on YouTube. Go subscribe. Leave a comment.
please.
Give us suggestions for what to watch.
Yeah.
I'll add it to the list.
We need more.
One of these days we'll do a poll, probably on the Facebook page, on what franchise to do next.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that.
We'll figure it out, and we'll let you know when we get to that. But thanks for listening once again. I'm John,
And I've been Justin.
and stay gory, stay green.
Stay goblin.
Don't forget to sleep, unlike Justin's bitch ass over here.
Yeah, I don't
Who
sleep.
doesn't sleep. Oh my God, it's like that episode of the X-Files where they're in Vietnam and they give these soldiers like this experimental like chip in their brain. I think it's a chip or it's some shit, but it basically makes it to where they cannot sleep.
Like the Russian sleep experiment?
Yes, but these people are just physically tired, like in old age, and like they start acting out and like taking out their anger. If I remember right, I have to watch it again. That's a good episode of the X-Files. Actually, I love the X-Files. It'd be cool if we could cover X-Files, but
The best episode of the X-Files is that inbred family one.
that one's fucked up. We'd have to like handpick episodes to do it. That might be something we do in the future. I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Woo!
Bye.
Bye-bye.